A portion of the Avon Daycare Center where a staff member is accused of sexually assaulting multiple children has abruptly closed today. Thanks for joining us for the Fox 61 News at 10. I'm Priscilla Meza. It was announced today that 2 buildings at Bright Path Avon Child Care Center would close at the end of the day, 3 weeks earlier than expected. Fox 61's Tim Latow has more on the developments that took place just before the closure.
For the last few hours, the daycare was open. We could see multiple police officers in the parking lot. This is while dozens of kids waited inside for pickup. A dark cloud hangs over the now 2 permanently closed Bright Path Avon Child Care Center buildings. A former employee at the daycare, Jan Carlos Barrios Otero, was arrested and charged last month with sexual assault and risk of injury to a child. The arrest warrant for the 29-year-old states he can be seen on video sexually assaulting one of the victims. Investigators have identified at least 5 victims, and attorneys believe there may be more. A spokesperson for Bright Path says the center took immediate action after learning about the incident on March 31st. They say it was reported to police, the state licensing agency, and the Connecticut Department of Children. Following the arrest, the daycare center announced they were closing all 4 of their Avon buildings May 22nd, but a letter to parents Friday said they were now closing 2 of those buildings 3 weeks early. Children from 6 weeks old to 12 years old are cared for at the Avon campus, according to the website. Bright Path has 14 other locations surrounding the greater Hartford area. Employees declined to be interviewed Friday. The property management company, Riverdale Farms, also declined comment on the daycare's lease. Freeman Law Firm is representing several families in this case. Attorneys say they're concerned about this abrupt shutdown. They said in a statement they fear it could be, quote, an attempt to evade responsibility or transparency. Barrios Otero is being held on a $3 million bond. Police say he didn't have a previous criminal record. Attorneys have asked both current and former employees and families of the daycare to come forward if they have any information. In Avon, Tim Latow, Fox 61.
Well, today was a lovely day across the state, but that may change slightly. Meteorologist Sam Sampieri has the first look at this weekend's forecast. Sam, what do we got?
Well, Priscilla, we might have a couple of spotty showers late tonight and tomorrow, but other than that, it's not going to be a bad weekend. You know, these icons look a lot worse. Maybe even see a little bit of sun, but the theme here, our first few days of May is going to be much cooler than normal. Normal high in the upper 60s, or it'll be in the upper 50s. Right now, we're all over the place. For 52 Torrington, the 48 Union, 53 New Haven, 54 in Meriden. A little bit of a wind now starting to pick up ahead of a system out to our west. Now, it's not raining in northwest Connecticut. In fact, looking at the observations, even Kingston, New York, Albany, very, very dry atmosphere right now. You have to go a little bit west where you see a little bit of bright banding. There's even some sleet and snow mixed in upstate New York. So those are probably a little bit of sleet going on when you see those yellows. Very, very light rain. Cold atmosphere aloft, big upper level low, even some snow showers up in the Great Lakes. And this system will be ours for tonight and tomorrow. So a couple of showers overnight with lows in the 40s. And yeah, I'm going to put this into motion. This is one of our newest high resolution. And you can see just a couple of light showers rolling on by. A lot of it going to our north and west. So I'll be back in a few minutes and we'll talk about how much rain we can expect and what about the weekend forecast in more detail. And I think you're going to like next week. Details in a few minutes. Priscilla?
Thank you, Sam. Tonight, the former water superintendent for the city of Waterbury has been arrested and charged with forgery. This all comes after Bradley Millay stepped down from the role last week. Fox 61's Alicia Hercules has more details on what officials found during their investigation.
During that press conference, the mayor said Bradley Millay lied about his educational and professional background to get the job of water superintendent. Mayor Paul Pernerusky says this discovery was a part of the city's ongoing investigation into water flow issues in the city. Late last week, when Bradley Millay was asked about the misconduct during an interview, the mayor said Millay stepped down from his position. Upon further investigation, Police Chief Fernando Spagnolo said Millay fabricated and embellished his educational and professional experience in order to appear qualified for the position. The police chief said on Malay's application for the assistant water superintendent position, he said he had an associate's degree in chemistry and science. Later, for the water superintendent position, he said he had a bachelor's in science and chemistry. They say he submitted unofficial transcripts from the Southern Connecticut State University. Chief Spagnolo says he also claimed he had a Distribution 3 water license from the State Department of Public Health, which he says is untrue. The mayor said he was shocked by this discovery.
The fact that he apparently intentionally put false information on there and then signed, certified that it was correct is troubling to me, and I think we've got to follow that through to the end.
He did not meet the threshold and the criteria that was required under the civil service rules and regulations by the city of Waterbury to apply for these jobs.
Malay was charged with 2 counts of forgery in the second degree. Despite the discrepancies in his application, the chief says he does have an extensive history with water distribution and water treatment. The mayor said Malay's misconduct is not directly related to the water flow issues at fire hydrants. Going forward, the city will only accept official transcripts for positions. He also says the Human Resources Department will be doing an audit of everyone working for the city to make sure they have the proper credentials. In Waterbury, Alicia Hercules, Fox 61.
A Manchester man charged with killing his girlfriend in 2023 pleaded guilty today in a Vernon courtroom. Abdul Mboob accepted a plea deal in which he would serve 34 years in prison for the murder of Anastasia Paul and her unborn child. Fox 61's Jamel Johnson is in Vernon, where the family of the victim made their voices heard before the plea.
The emotional scene in court proved that time has not healed this wound for the Paul family. With Mboob's plea in the rearview and his sentencing around the corner, the Paul family is close to closing this 3-year chapter.
How you plead guilty or not guilty?
Guilty.
The family of Anastasia Paul has been waiting 3 years to hear those words. In 2025, Abdul Mboob rejected the state's plea deal, which saw him facing a 35 to 45-year sentence. Now he's accepting the state's most recent deal of 34 years. Before he pleaded guilty, Paul's mom spoke on behalf of her daughter and the family.
Anastasia was one of a kind, giving, sweet, caring, and full of life. She loved life, and she loved everyone in it. She loved her son. She was preparing for another child. She was building a future that was taken away from her without mercy.
Prosecutors say Mboob strangled Paul to death while she was pregnant. They say Mboob later admitted to choking her because of suspected infidelity and alleged mistreatment of their 16-month-old child. They say Mboob's mother convinced him to turn himself in.
This was not an isolated incident. This was the final result of a documented history of reoccurring domestic violence, control, and abuse. He had already threatened her life. He had already shown exactly who he was. Despite that, she was not protected.
Along with Paul's mother, many other family members filled the courtroom, including brother and sister Tashim Mosley and Jelena Paul.
Baby Anastasia, she was a great person, comfortable person to be around. You know, she always hype your head up when you're around. A great person, great personality, everything. You know, I just miss her. I know everyone misses her, and this is just sad.
We're being failed right now, if I'm being honest. But we did a prayer upstairs just now, and we're just going to leave it in God's hands at this point. It's coming towards the end of the road, and I hope that everyone in that courthouse understands the true depth and severity of this whole case.
The family also wore shirts with Paul's face on them in support.
You would have to know her and talk to her, have one conversation to really understand how much that her, out of all people, did not deserve this.
Abdul Mboob's sentencing is set for July 31st. The family of Anastasia Paul is expected to be there that day as well. In Vernon, Jamel Johnson, Fox 61.
A Cheshire nurse will spend 1 day in prison after she admitted to prescribing illegal drugs to people, and 5 of those people died from overdoses. Michelle Muzica has been behind bars since last June after a nationwide healthcare fraud investigation dubbed Operation Gold Rush. Yesterday, a judge sentenced Muzica to time already served on top of 3 years of supervised release, a $25,000 fine, and 100 hours of community service. Investigators say Muzica prescribed charged a fee for drugs like Adderall and Xanax to people who didn't medically need them. A fire this morning in Durham led to a business owner being rushed to the hospital. It happened around 8:40 a.m. at the Cozy Corner restaurant on New Haven Road. The Durham fire marshal tells us the business was not opened and the owner was the only one inside when the fire started. We're also told crews were able to get the fire under control in about 15 minutes. The owner was sent to the hospital for smoke inhalation. Take a listen to what a neighbor we spoke with had to say about the intense scene.
When I came up, it's a pretty bad fire. It's a big mess. It'll probably take them quite a while to get it all cleaned up and get back in business again.
At this time, officials are still working to figure out what caused the fire. Roads were temporarily closed while crews were on scene, but they have since reopened. Police in Waterbury had to close down a road this afternoon after construction crews hit a gas line. It happened on Michelle Avenue and Holmes Avenue. An official said the gas line wasn't marked, so the workers didn't realize it had been hit at first. Crews managed to cap the gas line by 1 p.m. and the road was reopened after that. Today, Congressman Joe Courtney is slamming a new Department of Education rule. Effective July 1st, the new rule will cut federal student loan caps in half for graduate students in nursing, social work, and other healthcare fields. The rule from the Big Ugly Bill removes these programs from the so-called professional degrees. Courtney argues this is insulting and will worsen the healthcare worker shortage by making degrees less affordable. He is calling on Congress to reverse the cuts. Also today, the Connecticut Education Association praised the passage of House Bill 5003. This act ensures any disciplinary action taken against an educator is done fairly and objectively by prioritizing evidence-based procedures. The legislation aims to increase teacher retention and school stability by replacing potential biased local board decisions with a neutral third-party process.